Hello and welcome, listeners, to the true iteration of That's a Good Card. I'm Ya, and with me as always is Kyle. And he's going to have the challenge of getting me to say, that's a good card. While Kyle will be doing the convincing, I'll be playing the devil's advocate. We also want to take a second to remind you to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to us. And we love it when you all leave a comment below with your suggestion for our next card. Suggest the card that you think can change CEDH. Also, don't forget to stick around to play another round of That's a Good Card? As our closing segment. All right, Kyle, let's get started.
All right, listeners. Today, we got a really fun one that was recommended to us by the one and only Ken Baumann.
Ooh.
The Kurok Sakashima Legend. Now, this card is not currently in Kurok Sakashima's, or the Ken Baumann Kurok Sakashima list, but I reached out to Ken and asked him, what's a card that you think should see more play in CEDH? And his response was Pyrokinesis.
Ooh.
Now, Pyrokinesis is a 6 mana cost card, 4 colorless and 2 red pips, but the text reads, you may exile a red card from your hand rather than pay Pyrokinesis' mana cost. It is an instant that says Pyrokinesis deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. So once again, this card is normally cast for free in almost all CEDH scenarios by exiling a red card from your hand, and it's an instant spell that's going to deal 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. And the flavor text on the original printing of Pyrokinesis says, anybody want some toast?
Thanks. I asked for that. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about where Pyrokinesis is currently seeing play in CEDH. Now, this is not one of our most fringe cards, but it's also not our most popular that we have covered. According to CEDH Analytics, it's seeing almost 500 occurrences across CEDH decks, which is a pretty good amount. It's nowhere near a staple level, but it's a pretty solid amount. And let's talk about where this card has seen success recently. We have seen this in Italy lists, most notably of recent at a CEDH 5K, and Italy placed 9th running this card. Also saw a spicy new Alexios list that got 16th place at that same CEDH 5K event, which is pretty cool to see, a new commander, and running Pyrokinesis, which is pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
And then we see it in Magda, Stella Lee, and Godo. Now in Magda, just perusing all the Magda list I was seeing at recent large field tournaments, I would say approximately half are running this card. This is, I don't have the statistics on it, but it's approximately half of them running this card. I would say for Godo, it's more than half. I think I saw more Godo lists running this than Magda lists, which kind of makes sense because Magda has more dwarves that they want to run. But Magda and Godo both play Pyrokinesis a good amount. And Stella Lee, I think, is kind of trailing behind those two, where sometimes you see it in Stella Lee lists, sometimes you don't.
Yep.
But those are the popular lists that we see this card being played in. A funny stat as well is I didn't see any occurrences of this card in any 4 or 5 color list.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised.
Yeah.
We can talk about that a little later on. But yeah, are you ready for me to get into my positives for Pyrokinesis?
Yeah, absolutely.
The first point for Pyrokinesis I have, it's free real estate. 2 bedrooms, no rugs, it's free. So just like the low-hanging fruit here is that we love free cards in CEDH. I mean, we love free cards in any format, but it's especially nice to have free interaction. We talk about it all the time on this podcast. The best interaction is the kind that your opponent doesn't see coming.
Yep.
And free spells are the kind that your opponents don't see coming. Especially being in red, a lot of times there's not an expectation that you're going to have any sort of disruption or interaction. So being able to interact with the board state like Pyrokinesis allows you to is super valuable in those pivotal moments.
Yeah, that's a hard one to disagree with. It is a card I play in my own Magnet list, and it has definitely come in clutch when I was able to tap out for dwarves and Magda stuff, and just went, I'm in mono red. I just get to say I'm in mono red, and then out of nowhere, pitch a red card to ping down the table, and then try to go off from there. It's such a good feeling.
Cool. My second point is that it disrupts a ton of the top performing CEDH deck lists. So let's talk about my favorite thing ever, y'all. Magic Christmas Dreamland.
That's right. Let's go.
For this card, let's talk about the Magic Christmas Dreamland. You are able to cast this card and take out a Kinnan, a Rograk, and a Magda in one fell swoop. Boom.
Boom.
You just absolutely shut out your other 3 opponents with one card, which would be incredible. Now, I'm hearing the comments already, but you're not shutting out Rograk dying. That doesn't mean anything. Well, guess what? It kind of does. So they won't be able to cast their, Culling the Weak, or they won't be able to cast their Diabolic Intent because they don't have their Rograk, or they won't be able to cast their Protection for whatever, win that they're going to be presenting on the next turn, right?
Yep.
So I really like how this card can potentially, as a removal piece, set back multiple opponents from resolving one spell. I love it. Same reason I love board wipes in CEDH. Same reason I love Culling Ritual type effects. You can put yourself in a great position by putting multiple opponents down at the same time. And it doesn't just stop at Kinnan, Rograk, Magda. This stops Dockside recursion loops. You can target the Dockside and kill it or something like that before it can get, cloned or copied. You can kill a Najeela. You can kill a Krark. You can even kill a Nadu if you have to. I've seen this card be used to kill Scoot Swarm, which is a key piece of winning with Nadu.
Huge.
And at the end of the day, no, it doesn't necessarily stop Blue Farm in any capacity or any Tymna list, but a lot of times how I see this card being used, Tymna kind of ends up being the fodder at the end of it. Like, they use it to kill a Magda, and then Tymna is kind of just like the bonus points at the end. Kind of like Mana Dorks are kind of the bonus points at the end when you use this card. You're probably using it to get rid of one super big problem piece, and then the Ragavans, the Lothos, the Tymnas, whatever, kind of get killed at the end of it.
Yep.
The last point I will say is you can technically use it to kill a Corvold pre-ETB resolution.
With the ETB on the stack. Yeah.
Which is really sad. Please don't do that to my Corvold.
With ETB on the stack.
But anyway, don't do it. Anyway, that's my second point is you can stop multiple opponents at the same time because you're really hitting all the decks in the format. There's very few decks that really don't care about this card. All right, my third point is that removal is badass. I just want to see more removal in CEDH, please. So remove stacks pieces, please, to help you win. Remove that stupid card, Orcish Bowmasters, which you only have to use one of your 4 pings on that bad boy. So then kill the rest of the things. Kill the Tymnas, kill the Lothos, kill whatever else. So I just think that removal is super important in our current meta, and we just don't run enough of it. And I will kind of bring it up again where this piece can be used to just solely put all 4 points of damage on Nadu. Like, please kill that bird. Please kill the toucan. So I like that it can be used against one of the most, if not the most dominant new deck in the format. That didn't get the banhammer, so we got to keep teching against it. But that's my last point, is removal is super potent and good in CEDH, and I think that we should be running more of it. That's my last point.
Well, you kind of just touched on the subject that I was going to bring up once we kind of go into the downsides here. So I want to start by saying this is one of those cards that I'm actually pretty high on myself. And so these are things that you want to consider, right, in terms of whether or not you want to slot this card in, right, into your deck that's running red. So Kyle touched on it, and the first thing I'll bring up is, targeted removal in this Nadu heavy meta is something that you have to consider. Like, you kind of have to be mindful of like what you're blasting. You do want to just take down that Nadu, because any target beyond that first one, especially at a Nadu's board, is Nadu?
Yeah, don't slip up.
Yeah, you're going to give him more draws.
Yeah, don't slip and start targeting other things on Nadu's board. Do not.
The bird has to eat the whole thing. The bird has to eat the whole thing. And so it is just something to be mindful of. If your meta is heavy with the bird, then maybe this is not the word. I really wanted to say it that way. Flame me if you want to. That's why I think we're seeing more cards. But like Kyle said, I agree with him. Cards like Toxic Deluge are seeing more play. Like I can even foresee a little
non-targeted.
Non-targeted board wipes
yeah.
are pretty nice.
Yeah, give him. See, but I disagree because I think killing the Nadu is just so important. I think giving them one trigger or even two triggers sometimes, if it means dealing with the bird and killing the bird, can be super nice. Yes, it kind of sucks because sometimes they Nadu trigger flip into a land and then they just recast Nadu the next turn. But it does slow them down still, and you can't just let it happen. You can't just watch yourself slowly lose. You have to. You gotta fight it. You gotta try.
For sure. I'm just trying to say like that. If you're depending on what colors you're in, right? Like if you're in mono red, yeah, obviously this card is busted. I think it's really good, but I think that there's a case for why we don't see it, especially in these other 3-4 color decks, right? Like the 2-color decks, I can totally see this card seeing a little bit more play, but in 3. I guess I'll get into that point. I have it down as my third point, and you touched on it yourself, is like the amount of red cards, even though we know that red is very strong and powerful and dynamic. I went ahead and kind of took a look at some of the, Blue Farm. Blue Farm is running like 9-10 cards that are in red. If you include Krark, 10 cards that are in red. The counter spells.
Wait, Blue Farm runs Krark?
Wait, not Krark. Cut that.
Crom.
The other K. I was like,
whoa, is this secret new Blue Farm tech?
Super awesome tech.
Krark in the 99?
They're running like...
That's so funny that slip up happened on the Ken recommended card.
Hey. I also feel like I'm talking against Ken here a little bit, but at the same time, these decks aren't running that many red spells, so you may not actually have red spells to pitch to Pyrokinesis, and so now you're looking at potentially a win condition, a Underworld Breach, or a Dockside in hand with a Pyrokinesis, and what do you do? Like, everybody hates being in that spot.
Yeah, first world red problems, all the pitch cards are like super OP.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to pitch a Dockside. You don't want to pitch a Underworld Breach. Like there's too many really good red cards. Like in the 4 and 5 color list specifically.
Yeah.
When we're talking about this. Like you said, I was looking into it too. Most Blue Farm lists run anywhere between 9 and 11 red cards.
Yep.
And that includes like something like Simian Spirit Guide.
Yep.
But it's so tough because all of those cards are absolute bangers, and you really don't want to pitch any of them to a removal spell unless you absolutely have to. Like, sure, if we're hitting the panic button, you're gonna do it, but I just think that the number of red cards being run in the high color list is simply too low.
No, I totally agree. I think that even in your own Corvold list, you actually run more green cards than you do red cards, right? And we talk all the time about how green is a little bit weaker, but like when we look at the makeup of some of these decks, like we're running only the best of the best red cards, right? I took a look. You're running 12 red cards to 17.
I'm looking it up too. I'm trying to fact check you. That's so funny that
I went through and I counted. I counted all of the multicolored cards, and your deck has 12 red cards.
Yeah.
I think 13 if you include Corvold. And then 17 green spells.
Yeah, and all my red spells are just absolute bangers that I'm never pitching.
Like you're gonna, I mean, maybe a Final Fortune, right? You can totally potentially,
or like a wheel,
yeah. But at the same time, it's like, ooh, boy, your red spells have so much impact. Whereas, like, sometimes some of those green spells, they're nice, but like you would pitch a Veil of Summer in a heartbeat to be able to cast a really impactful green spell.
Oh yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. So it's tough to find those red pitch cards for sure, especially in the 4 and 5 color good stuff piles. But when we start cutting it down though to the mono red 2 color, 3 color lists, like, we haven't talked about it, but I think that something like Obnixilus or like Rakdos the Muscle, which I'm starting to, maybe this is a hot take, think that Rakdos the Muscle might be a more powerful deck than Obnixilus. I don't know. That's a different podcast. We talk about that.
I like it.
Something like Rakdos the Muscle or Ob should be running a card like this because they can.
Yep, I agree. And my last point is that because you're in red, you have a lot of cards that do something similar without being completely free. Things that get real close, right? For one red pip, they do something almost the same, including the new spice that I really like, the Ghost Fire Slicer. Wait, what is that thing called?
Dude, oh no, that card's so trash.
Don't do it. It does something similar. It's like a lightning bolt, as long as an opponent controls a multicolored card. It costs 1 red instead of 2 colorless and a red to do 4 damage. Again, it's a single target. To any target.
Yeah, it's any target. So technically, you can point it at like a person post-Nas or something like that, which is like a slight uptick for it. But I don't like this card.
No, I hear you. I mean, Magna runs a number of other cards that uses Convoke or what's the one that does for artifacts? I can't remember. Bottle Cap Blast, I think is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I think that this is all similar veins because like realistically we're in removal world, and in removal world there's a lot of options in red, like even like a blasphemous act is something that you can consider that can board wipe without targeting, or just like something as simple as like a lightning bolt or a rending volley, right? It's all kind of similar. Like yes, this card has the benefit of
free
hitting multiple things
and
it's free
free,
which hey, this is starting to sound pretty good, but. It's all in the same vein of removal / board wipes. So, cool.
But yeah, those are my points for what you should consider before you slot this card in, or if you're looking to slot this card in. What point of mine, Kyle, did I make that you thought, that's a good point?
Best point you made is that all the red cards are just too freaking good, man. like you don't want to pitch all these incredible red cards. It just hurts. It hurts your soul. And there's no way. I think I've seen it once in my entire life in a CEDH pod where I've seen Pyrokinesis cast for 6 mana.
Yeah.
just like hard cast it for 6. But it's just so hard to be in a situation where you feel like you need to cast Pyrokinesis and pitch away one of your win conditions because it's just that incredible of a red card. So that's your best point, is that mixed with, lists just don't run red cards in general. I actually, when I first looked at this card and we started looking at the deck list for it and kind of looking at how many red cards decks run, like the meta decks, I actually thought for a second, like, oh, maybe Sisay would like this because they run so many like random legendaries. And then I looked at their legendaries, like none of them are red. Like there's only like a couple.
Maybe,
and I thought that there would be
few
more, but there's not. It's like Ragavan and Saheeli Rai, and then there's like nothing else.
And they're very necessary, not spells you need or want. You can't pitch them. You can't they're pretty crucial.
Yeah, so for a second, I had hope that maybe Sisay could run this,
I don't
but
think so.
Sisay really doesn't have, there's like no red in that deck.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But yeah, that's your best point. It's just red cards are good, and we only run the best red cards. So it's tough. All right, y'all, what point did I make that you think is the best positive for Pyrokinesis?
It's the fact that it's free, right? Or you can play it for free. Yes, you're pitching a red card, but man, like that again, like having been in that situation to again in mono red where I kind of care a lot less. If I have to get rid of a vanilla dwarf, like that sucks, but like at the same time, it allows me.
That's what you want to be pitching, though.
Right? Yeah,
you want to be pitching a shitty dwarf,
right? So we like free. We like being able to say I'm in mono red, like as a response to, hey, do you have any answers? I'm in mono red. What do you want me to do?
And then gotcha.
And then I got you. Yep. Statements of fact. So the fact that it's free and the it's not a point that you made, but kind of made that you get to target multiple things, right? And that is, for me, I think that has actually come into play where like I needed to get rid of like a Dranith and then something else for whatever reason. It's like
OBM
awesome.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or a Lotho.
Huge.
Yeah. And it doesn't break parity, which is so nice, right? Yeah. You're able to keep all opponents down. Sometimes with spot removal, the issue with spot removal is if you target one person and there's multiple people who have developed, you're almost pushing the other people ahead of you by keeping one other person down. So something like Pyrokinesis can make sure all of your opponents are being held down while you're able to progress your game state.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah. Did I convince you? Is Pyrokinesis a good card?
I think it's a pretty good card. I think that...
Nice.
I do think that it's going to be real tough to slot it into like a 4-color deck. I can totally see it slotting into 3-color. I also run
Yeah.
Quark Thrasios, and I would like.
There's not a lot of red cards in there, though. I'm thinking like Naya lists could potentially try.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe you could get a little spicy in Naya, I think. Maybe.
What Naya decks get run often?
Rocco.
Okay, all right. What else? What else we got?
Marath. That's Naya, right?
Hey, Sam from the Howling Salt Mines would love to hear you talk about that. Like, Marath is seeing some spice and brews. Like, I listen. I know. I hear you, Sam.
Yeah, I think this is a 2-color, like, the point that we should be making is that the single color lists should all be running this more.
Sure.
So the ones that are running 50%, 60% of lists, just slot this in.
Yeah.
This should be a staple in mono red. And for 2-color lists, this should get to the point where it's in most lists.
I agree. Completely.
It's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I agree.
The only 2-color list we didn't talk about that I was like, man, I don't know if this deck would like it, would be Niv. And that's just because Niv doesn't run that many red cards, shockingly, even though it's 2-color. It's like all blue.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, I mean, your like red shit is like all like Dockside tutors. Like if you're running like Imp Recruiter or running Dockside, like it's all just like the good red cards that you don't want to pitch.
What I'm getting to now is like, is red even that good? Right? Beyond Dockside and Underworld
like
Breach, it has to chew the strongest cards. After that, is it good? That's a hot take. That's a different podcast. But is it?
Red's top heavy as a motherfucker.
Yeah, it
like,
is. It's being carried. It's being carried by Dockside and Underworld Breach, which are really good cards. Don't get me wrong. They're very good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, say the thing again for the listeners.
Pyrokinesis, that's a good card.
Thank you. All right, I thought it was going to be a really easy one. I'm not going to lie. When we brought this one to you, I was like, you're a Magda player. You're going to instantly... I didn't check to see if you played it or not.
I do.
But I was like, you're instantly going to be like, oh, hell yeah, this is a banger. So I didn't think we were going to have a lot of trouble on this one, which, to be honest, I think this is a good... good trampoline bounce back from the last episode we recorded, Ristic Tutor, which has been at the time of this recording, we have just released that video and we're getting a lot of hate.
You know what it is?
But you know what?
It's a banger video. That's what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of
maybe not a good card,
haters out there for that, but I think that we might have quite a few people hopping on the Pyrokinesis train. So I'm excited for it. Thank you so much, Ken, for your recommendation.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, y'all. Are you ready for our closing segment?
Oh, yes.
That's a good card.
Let me get mine ready. Hold on. Let me go to my good space.
Yeah. Channel your energy.
My Magic Christmas Land. All right. I'm good. I'm ready. Let's do this.
You're there?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. We got a card that if you know it, I would be shocked. There's not very many printings. Okay. So your card today. Oh, wait. Let me explain to the listeners what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who have not played with us before. That's a good card, ? Is a segment we do where one of us will be providing the name of an obscure Magic card to the other. And the other person will have to guess everything about that card. Type, art, power, toughness, whatever. Everything about the card. Explain to us what they think this card does, and at the end, we will reveal it. Please play along with us. While Ya will be doing the guessing today, I'll be providing the name. All right. Your card name today is Hungry Mist.
Hungry Mists. Hold on a second. Let me think here. Oh, man. That's got to be like... Fuck. I'm torn here. I think it could be a blue card or a green card. Like, it almost sounds like some kind of, like, a fog effect, right? Hungry Mist, right?
Okay.
That, like, also...
It's hungry.
It's hungry. But I think I'm going to go with blue here. Maybe even blue-black.
Oh. Well, what's the mana cost of this thing?
Oh, let me think here. Hungry Mist. Let's just go with my gut here. I'm just going to call it a... Shoot, it sounds like zombies are involved here. I'm going to go with the blue card. Okay. I'm going to say that it's like one generic and a blue pip for an enchantment. Oh,
enchantment.
Gosh,
okay.
I don't think that's right. It's probably an instance of story,
Mist.
but I said it enchantment. I'm going to go with enchantment. And it has this static ability where basically if you, if an opponent were to attack you, attacking creatures attacking you get -2, -0, something like that.
Okay. And what's the artwork looking like? What does a Hungry Mist look like?
This I have so.
Okay,
You want to picture?
in.
Yeah, this I'm locked in. So you want to picture like 80s or early 90s Stephen King films, right? Like The Mist. Okay, The Mist. But in that mist are these shadows. You can't see the shadows. You can't clearly distinguish them, but you see shadows. And they're there, and they're looking, and they are very ominous. It's dark. It's shrouded in mists, and you're turning left. You're turning right. You don't know what to think or where you can run because something's out there.
Wow. My knees are quaking right now. I'm just shaking in my boots.
my description just gave
All
me
right.
my flavor text. Here's the flavor text.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hansel and Gretel were on their way home, but the mist led them astray. Chase, mind sculptor. I don't know what Chase. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know. He was the first. He was the first planeswalker I could think of in blue. I don't know. I don't know why Chase is easy.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's talk about how horrible you did on this card. I don't think you got a single thing.
Oh, dude,
right,
probably not.
This was your worst one yet. I'm so sorry. So Hungry Mist is a green card.
Oh, damn it.
You were so close. You were half 50-50 there. It was a green card. 4 mana cost. 2 colorless, 2 green pips.
This better be.
It's a creature.
Better do a lot.
Elemental.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Creature, elemental. It's a 6 power, 2 toughness creature.
That tracks. I can see that.
It's got a lot of attack.
For 4?
For 4. It's a 6/2 for 4.
Okay.
Yeah. 6/2 for 4. And it says, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrificed Hungry Mist unless you pay 2 green. So it's so powerful, but you got to pay for it every single turn. And the flavor text reads, if the air must feed, let it take the self-righteous. Quote, Marat.
I thought you said Marath for a second. I totally thought this came back to Marath. I was like, oh my god.
No. Marat. M-U-R-A-T.
That's
Marat,
awesome.
Death Speaker. And the artwork, it is like a mist that's scary. So it's basically like somebody opening their kitchen window with a lantern coming out, and then this scary looking green mist, like floating above them. Very scary, very spooky. Anyway, you want to guess how much this card is?
This card in paper? Oh man.
Yeah, in paper. How much? It was printed in the last time it was printed was 5th edition.
I want to say 5th edition? Oh man. Shit.
How many cents?
I'm going to go 42 cents.
Oh, nope. 7 cents. This card sucks.
Jeez. I'm looking at it now. This is a very much a 5th edition art style card. How did you do, listeners? Let me know down below in the comments. My card is way better, I think.
My card is way better. I mean, it's all right, I guess. A 6/2 for 4. I mean, it's a hard.
At least it's not like a
mist.
cumulative upkeep. It's just like an upkeep.
It's just pay 2 every time. Pay 2 every time.
Or exile.
All right.
Okay.
I wonder when we'll see it in CEDH.
I'll work on that.
All right. And with that, we'll kind of transition out of here. Thank you so much for listening in today to our episode on Pyrokinesis. Thank you so much to Ken Baumann for recommending this banger card, and we hope you all enjoyed it. Please check the description down below for links to our social media, as well as our link tree, which will send you to all of the places we host our podcast. Our podcast releases on Mondays on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Once again, leave a comment down below with your suggestion for our next card. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.